All right. Welcome to Health a Second Opinion, sitting in the new facility that's going to be opening up here called Throwing Stuff. So I figured I was going to be over here doing some things, wanted to take a minute to just reach out and put this out here about the 5E and really how to implement things in an easy way, because I've been really motivated by the amazing amount of positive change that people have been experiencing in the office. So when we think about the 5 essentials and how to maximize our health potential, it's really, really important to try to make it accessible and really just define what you want and your goals and your expectations for whatever you're going to implement inside of the 5 essentials. And so I had a lady named Mary who's given me permission to talk about her on TV. Mary started care about 6 months ago. And in the last 6 months, let's talk about Mary a little bit. She's diabetic, been on blood pressure medication, cholesterol medication, and has been progressively getting worse throughout the years. Shows up, gets started with care, starts implementing the 5 essentials. And so what did we see at her beginning of wellness re-exam that we did, the end of her corrective care? We always are following up with our patients and making sure on a set schedule when we're going to check back in to see where they're at on the progress at all their health goals. So we're doing this beginning of wellness check. And she writes down that she has been able to come off 3 medications, 2 heart medications, and then also Trulicity. And so she's reducing her diabetes meds. And so she's lost weight, talking about how much more energy she has, and literally just looking at her, just talk about the more vibrance that's radiating from this human being is so amazing to see, because so many people are caught up in this false belief that things have got to get worse, and that once you're on heart medications, you're on them for the rest of your life, and that once you're on diabetes medications, you're on them for the rest of your life. Let me change this light, see if we can make this a fuzz better. Yeah, that's better. So when we think about these things, the only reason that rings true for people and that it's not a must, it's that it's common. That's what typically happens to most people, because they're never addressing the real problems. And so the easy 5E, man, implementing the 5 essentials. It's not that it's really super easy. It's that it is super productive and responsible. And when we do about it in a common sense way, that's what makes it easy. And that we look at things on that same trajectory that Tony Robbins talks about so often. Like, there are so many people overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in a decade. And so when we look at ourselves on this health continuum, as we move through a life continuum, looking at ourselves from like kind of a 30,000 foot airplane view, looking down at everything. So when we look at those things, you set what's my general goal? I want to lose weight. I want to reverse my diabetes. I want to be able to get off my blood pressure medications. I want whatever that goal is for you. And then we think about the most commonsensical things that we know that we should do that will produce great results, but yet we just kind of don't want to do it. It's like, it's kind of one of my whoobies. It's one of my little, as my son calls his blanket, his beat. It's one of our comforts, and some of those are comfort foods. And yet we know that that's the thing. And so what if we just, so that in the 5 essentials, so there's core chiropractic, we've got nutrition, exercise, detoxification, and then we've got oxygen and exercise. So, here we have our 5 essentials. Whatever you're plugging in, to make it easy, just look at that thing that's been nagging you, that you could implement, that would make a profound effect. And instead of making it so darn absolute, do it 5 days a week. And then when it's maybe the weekend or whatever your days are going to be, Mine are like Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. I'll eat breakfast and have things. I'm not fasting those days because I like to take my kids to school. I like to wake up, get them breakfast. I'll eat with them, and then I take them on to school. Well, I mean that's something that I want to do and I want to experience with them. Hold on, somebody's texting in. Okay, and so when we look at these things, but on a general basis, fasting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Through the morning on out until about 2 p.m. That's my normal regimen, so that I know that I'm being in ketosis all night and then following that. So it's an intermittent fasting on a 16-8 window. So that's a nutritional thing that's my normal. It's not something that I like to do. It's not something that's fun. I really don't enjoy it. But I know that when I do that, that provides me a set point that allows me to maintain a healthy weight, that allows me to run better, to play with my children better, to have more energy at the end of the day, to have less back pain. Wait a second. Dr. Chad has back pain? But he's a chiropractor. He's not supposed to have any pain. Everything's supposed to be perfect, right? And come on, folks, it's reality. I found chiropractic through major trauma to my spine, and literally it's what allowed me to become an upright human walking around again. And some of you might not have known that, but yet getting crushed in a transfer trailer accident and then having my hips spun around and herniating several lumbar discs. And anyway, long story short, it wasn't pretty. And it took me a long time to get back to walking. And it was chiropractic that was able to get me out of the recliner and off pain meds and save my life in so many ways. So I can identify, I totally get why people come to chiropractors with back pain. But this 5 essentials, this vitalism paradigm, is what separates us from other practitioners, and it's what allows us to get results for people like Mary. So let's share another one. It was, and actually, before I do that, I want to step back and talk about another guy. And this guy just left here a little while ago, and he is like so many people. He has spent many years knowing that his one thing was something to do with his spine, and he just buried his head in the sand, did the ostrich method, and said, I'm not going to see the problem. I'm not going to see the problem. Until finally it gets so bad that it's really, really bad. And so then he comes into the office and we have the doctor's report where we're going over our recommendations for care based on the x-rays and the level of degeneration and the amount of lifestyle problems that they have. And we're looking at what are we going to have to do to start his body healing and regenerating and reversing his subluxation patterns and reversing his nutritional patterns and things like that. And I had to have that heart-to-heart with him that, you know what, it's pretty rough. And I'd seen you 10 years ago, we could have done a lot more. But we're going to be limited in the amount of things we could do. We just have to try. And so that's one of the things. The difference between a problem now and it being much worse is often just time. And so one of the biggest things that I want you to just understand about health and life and things is that there is nothing that a doctor, any doctor, medical doctor, chiropractor, osteopath, I don't know, chicken doctor, whatever, doesn't matter. There's nothing a doctor can do to undo what a patient won't do. There is nothing a doctor can do to undo what a patient won't do. You cannot pharmaceutical your way out of a problem you lifestyled your way into. There is never going to be a pill that replaces running. There's never going to be a supplement. There's never going to be a place, not running, exercise. There's never going to be a pill that replaces good posture. There's never going to be a supplement. There's never going to be an oil. There's never going to be a tincture. There's never going to be and the person, if someone is pitching that to you, that's exactly what they're doing. They're pitching you. They're lying to you. that this is going to replace something that only you can do. And so right then you can know, and then you can tell yourself that when you're talking to yourself and looking at things and looking for that lifestyle intervention, meaning something I can do that's really easy that just replaces exercise or just replaces healthy nutrition or just replaces chiropractic or just replaces like these new chirps or whatever I think they're called, these wheels that you're supposed to be able to lay on and roll on, and how that solves all spinal problems. Maybe they're great for flexibility, bought some, used them, actually sent my back, but whatever. And so the idea is that there's nothing that's going to replace the common sense stuff that you, the doctor within, that old, I think it was Plato or Socrates, I forget which one, said, doctor, heal that self, right? Well, what they wasn't talking about, I mean, I'm sure we could extrapolate that to, yeah, doctor, you got to take care of you first, and then help others. But the doctor is within us. The innate intelligence that runs our bodies is always wanting to fix us. And so we're going to go 5E. We're going to talk about these things. And it's just a matter of accepting that it is, it's up to you. And I mean, go ahead and click this. Whoa, that's not what we want. Boom, there we go. So when we're getting into the easy 5E, it's commonsensical stuff because only you could do these things. And so when we think about those things, it's always the first thing that comes to mind. I should blank. And I've been doing this and putting it off for, and then that's your starting point on the 5 essentials. The reason that we get such good results is because I'm allowed to coach that for people. I'm allowed to hold them accountable. I'm allowed to be privy to their goals, and we set them, and then we talk about what we're going to be changing to see how that moves us along. And so if it's a nutrition goal, like, so let's say that it's, you want to reverse your diabetes. How about the fact that, so we're going to go nutrition, diabetes. How about the fact that the advanced plan inside of the Align Your Health book or our new Quick Start guides is going to outline exactly how to eat in an anti-inflammatory way to allow the body to be in ketosis, but still consuming plants and not just being a meatitarian and a fatitarian, it's so that you can still get all the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients to prevent deficiencies and prevent toxicities. Because nutrition is simply, you need enough of all the different vitamins, minerals, trace minerals, healthy fats, and healthy protein. And you need to minimize the amount of processed food, carbohydrates especially, and then change and optimize the type of proteins and fats you're getting through making sure that they're healthy versions. Like example, vegetable oil, toxic, olive oil that's cold pressed, healthy. Then you have, things like for high temperature cooking, when you're gonna cook with some Crisco and cook with some lard, not the best. How about we use avocado oil instead? Again, cold pressed, that's their high temperature oil. So when we look at these things, that's the easy 5E. So what's the easy nutrition things that you need to do that are limiting? So maybe it's quitting going through the drive-through. Maybe it's, whatever that is. Stop eating donuts. Stop eating blah, blah, blah. Just cut it out the majority of the days of the week, and then allow yourself not to just blow it up and consume everything you would have consumed throughout the week on 2 days on the weekend, or whatever those days are for you. Instead, just mildly limit that. And then, so there you go. Then you have breaks, you get your reward. And then once you get used to that, that's the 30,000 foot view. That's the looking at it long term. Once you get used to it, and that's the new normal, you're going to realize you don't even crave it as much. It's not as much of a goodie because you feel better on the days that you don't have it, and your body tells you like, yeah, man, maybe you should get rid of that, altogether. So there's nutrition. What about let's see how much time we got going here. How about exercise? So it was great having this conversation with this gentleman because he was talking about, because of the type of work he does, he's seated a lot. And he was like, what can I be doing? Should I be, take breaks and do squats, or, do curls, or do presses, or push-ups, or whatever. And he was going through all these things. And the obvious way of catering things to people is, I've got the cheat sheet, I've got their x-rays in front of me, and I can see their levels of degeneration and their age and their all of these different things that we can take into account. And I said, it's not exercise except for walking or something cardiovascularly for about 30 minutes after a meal. You need to be doing that to minimize your blood sugar spikes. And so just that change, along with, I don't want you exercising as much as I want you stretching, because you have a lot of rigidity. And so if we're going to make changes to your spine and improve your nervous system and that connection of the brain body, then that's what he needs. So what is it for you? Number one is it's something. And then what's a legitimate, realistic plan that says, I'm going to plug it into my day? For me, there's no way I can get anywhere at a set time. So I always set apart 30 minutes of my lunch, just 30 minutes a day. And that allows me to, that's my travel time, that's my exercise time, that's my everything time. So most of the time I set up my parking lot, or I go up here to the 4 fields, and I've got a 5-minute drive time. I exercise for 15 minutes, and then I come back. Now, because those are my time windows, I'm doing max T3, high intensity interval training, burst training. There's lots of other names for it. A lot of people will go to gyms and do it as CrossFit. But max T3 is a great system that's portable, that I can watch on my phone and follow along. And so that's why I love it. So then there's, so that's one perspective. Sometimes I'll go out, I'll just hammer, play basketball, and I'm playing by myself, but I'm, again, at 4 fields, just playing basketball, running full court for 15 minutes. And then I'll stretch for 5 minutes, cool down, get myself cooled back down. Then I got my 5 minutes to get back to the office. But I can exercise longer and do more different things when I'm here in my office. So what is it for you? What's an easier thing that you could plug in that will allow you to plug in? Because the biggest thing is just that. It's just getting started and making sure that it becomes a regular, usable thing. So for a lot of my patients, it's just getting them up out of the desk, and during lunch, they eat their food, and then just go for a walk. Get out of the building. Go do something. Breathe some fresh air, stand up, get out of your desk, quit looking down. We got so many people who have factory jobs and sit here and look at parts all day long like this, and they're just hunkered over with forward head posture. Well, get up, look up, do some things that are going to help your body. So that's it. If you love cycling, cycle. And then one of the other things is that, so many people, like, I hear this at least once a day. Like, there'll be children playing in the children's area, and there'll be an older adult on the table, and they'll say, what I would give to have that energy. I wish they could bottle it and package it and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, if you want more of that energy, you got to act more like they do. And so many times, like, we don't have to program these things in. Make it your energy. Is you're going to go home and you're going to play ball with your kids. You're going to play soccer. You're going to throw the ball. You're going to laugh and cut up. You're going to whatever it is. I mean, if you ever, like, been walking through you like to hike. You go walking. When you see a bird on the ground and it doesn't really see you yet, try to run to it, chase it, and scare it. Try to catch it. Isn't that what kids do? And we want more of their energy. We want some of their humor. We want their good outlook on life. Well, sometimes we got to move like them. We got to act like them. We got to breathe like them. We got to be as much like that kid as we can, and quit getting caught up in all the, it's got to be this way. Look for those opportunities to plug that kind of movement, that kind of energy, that kind of love of life, and that kind of fresh air into your life. And then you want to look at the kids who are the most sick, the most miserable, who have the worst behavior patterns. Look, they're most of the time on screens. They're the ones with the worst posture. They look 90. Everybody's all this, book bags and looking around on phones and everything else. And how vibrant are they? How happy are they? How many anti-psych drug or psychotropic drugs are they on? Right? It's common sense. It's easy. It's the 5 essentials, easily plugged in with you making it compatible for you. So then chiropractic or posture or your whatever you want to call it. When we look at the research is that there's no more concept of the nervous system being a separate entity from anything. It's the neuroimmune system. It's the neurohormonal system or the neuroendocrine system. It is the neuro everything, because the nervous system is hardwired into even like the autonomic nervous system. All of these things is wired and connected back into what we call, our primary nervous system, that brain, spinal cord, and the nerve roots that come out. Like that central nervous system that's primarily controlling everything. Well, the integrity of our spine is determining the integrity of the house that nerve lives in, that spinal cord lives in, how the brain connects to the body, which then determines, which I think it was Chestnut who said, is the researcher who was talking about how the brain is computing trillions of bits of information every second to keep all the body parts working together and perceive our reality in space and time in a gravity field. So when we look at all of these things, all that's going on, but we're only consciously aware and making decisions about 50 things. So that's a big, huge, different percentage, right? So with all of that has to be controlled. And all of it is better when our spinal cord is happy, the connection between the brain and the body and the nerve roots, and there's as little degeneration as possible. So that being said, alignment determines how the spine functions. How the spine functions determines how healthy it is, how fast it degenerates, how much pressure's on the discs, how much degenerative joint disease somebody's going to develop, how much osteoarthritis, all this other stuff, these fancy terms we talk about. And it's going to make all those things, it's going to determine how they work. Well, that being said, when was the last time you had yours checked? When was the last time you had your kids checked, your grandkids checked? Has anyone ever taken a picture of it, taken an x-ray to see how it moves? Has anybody ever done a range of motion posture study, bilateral weight scales, or a surface EMG to see how the autonomic nervous system is functioning? Especially if you're like, what is this guy even talking about? Then the answer is no, and it's been a long time. Then that's just like you would not drive your car for 100,000 miles and expect it to do well without changing the oil and balancing, rotating the tires and servicing it. Well, how do you know to service your spine unless you have it assessed by someone who's a professional at it? That is this. That is, go ahead. You can text questions. You can, let's see here. There we go. Max Living Chattanooga Trend. So let's hide that one. So that's what chiropractic really is. It's to optimize the connection between the brain and the body, removing interference to the expression of life. The 5 essentials and the easy 5E that we're talking about right here today, that's about removing other interferences, nutritional interferences, the lack of exercise and oxygen coming into the body. Because if the cardiovascular system isn't optimally running, it can't deliver another essential, oxygen, to every cell and tissue in the body. All right, so that's how you get an appointment here in the office. Or look up maxliving.com and Max Living near me, and that's how you would find it if you're not here in the tri-state area. So we'll see how much time we got. We only got a couple minutes. So what about the essential of improving our body's detoxification systems? Well, how much water a day do you drink? Hydration plays a key role in how our lymphatic system runs, how basically whether or not our body is a clear body of fluid motion that is being changed regularly, or whether it's a stagnant pond of toxins. Well, I mean, half ounce per pound of body mass is a decent equation. So 200 pounds, drink 100 ounces of water, minimum standard for the day. Outside exercising, sweating a lot, got to drink more. Well, do you eat off of the dirty dozen and the clean 15 to minimize your different toxins coming in from food? That's ewg.org. Go there, dirty dozen, clean 15, put the apps on your phone. It's a great idea to scan barcodes and figure out how toxic, cancerous, or allergic something is right there in the store before you even put it in the cart. There's how often are you sweating? Skins in the top 3, so it's number 3 for detoxification in the human body, right? You know, we've got our liver, our kidneys, and then our skin is constantly. And if we sweat profusely every day, then we optimize our body's ability to get rid of toxins that way, and that decreases the toxic load. And then looking for ways to clean up your nutrition, clean up your water, and clean up your cosmetics. Anything that you're putting on your skin is being absorbed into your body. Just to give you a perspective, if you're taking like a 15-minute shower in the mornings, there's a couple of cups of water that's being absorbed through your skin during that 15-minute shower. And then not to mention the different fumes that you're inhaling, like the chlorine fumes and whatever else is coming out of that water and going into a mist or a vapor, that gaseous form, you're inhaling that in. So how clean is your water that you're showering with, drinking, all those things? Read the report that comes out in your tent. So these are just some common sense, easy 5 essentials things that you can plug in to clean up your life and see your body just like we're going to talk about. This is the last story for today. And so have a lady, she's coming in and has changed nothing except for her chiropractic care. She has kidney issues, and she went to the doctor, and she's been seeing her kidneys at like 63% function. Not changed her nutrition, not changed her water, not changed her exercise, not changed anything, but coming into the office and getting adjusted, she saw a jump in her kidney function from 63% to 74% in 1 year's time. People, and she's in her 60s. So getting older, but not getting worse. What is that? That's a better functioning nervous system, allowing her body to heal what it knows it needs to heal and function better so that she can have the best quality and quantity of life. And so that's what everybody deserves. And so that's why people need to be patients in the office, need to find out if they have subluxation, need to find out if they have nutrition, exercise, toxicity problems. And the mindset of our office is always to meet people where they're at and get them to where they want to be, understanding that the body will heal if we can remove the interference to that healing. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here on Health, a Second Opinion sometime soon.